Hello, happy Friday. It is the end of the work week, the end of the first week of February. That went by fast, right? You know, we're going to talk about what we're seeing out there this morning, and we're going to give some highlights for this upcoming weekend and a look at next week. So, yeah, what are you looking forward to? It is Friday. Do you have anything big planned for your weekend? Anything big that you're looking forward to? Any highlights or anything like that? What's good for you today? What's good for you personally and professionally? We want to know. I want to know. Go ahead and comment below on underneath these lives that are ongoing at this moment. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. For me, this weekend, doing a little snowshoeing. That's what I'm excited about. A little snowshoeing action. Okay. So as far as you're heading out the door, it's becoming a little bit blustery outside. And it's relatively comfortable, I would say, with upper 20s to 30s. Definitely was at 2 a.m. When we came into work. And yeah, highs, they already happened. There's a front that's coming through, and we have colder air that's going to come in. So don't get too quite cozy, comfy with the upper 20s that are out there right now, because that's not lasting all day. We have those temperatures decreasing here throughout the day. So this is what you need to know. We still have winter weather advisories in place for some of our counties throughout the morning off of Lake Superior. We've had kind of on and off lake effect snow showers, and winds are increasing here this morning, and so you might encounter some blowing snow. Also, some slippery, slick conditions with that wind increasing along the shoreline as well. So those are the main hazards for this morning and for today. Here's the front. Front's kind of coming through the central UP now. We'll zoom in here. Yeah, still coming in. The cold air though kind of hangs on, so it's going to take a little time for that cold air to finally kind of move into the UP. So there's a lag between the point in which the front completely moves on and that cold air. So yeah, take a little bit of time, but definitely by midday, you're going to feel the difference outside. So there's the front, the advisories, current wind gusts right now. It's over in the Keweenaw, the eastern UP, where we're seeing gusts exceeding 35 miles per hour. Currently 49 gusts over at Copper Harbor, 36 over at Houghton and Hancock. What about wind speeds? I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up here. Wind speeds. Wind speeds right now out of the north, and we have a range of 15 to 30 miles per hour. Let me change this here real quick because it is not a first alert weather day. There you go. So yeah, 33 mile per hour gusts over at Copper Harbor, 23 coming in over at the airport, also over at Munising for wind speeds. Again, gusts, there's a look at your gusts, upper 30s, over 45 miles per hour in the Keweenaw. As far as the rest of your day, that's the range for us, 40 to 45 along Lake Superior here, on and off throughout the day. This is 10:30 in the morning, and it still continues into the afternoon. This evening is when we'll notice that the winds will weaken, and then it won't be too problematic going into Saturday and Sunday. So the wind won't be a big story for us this weekend, which will be good. I personally always feel like I love the snow. I hate the wind. I'm not the hugest fan of wind and cold, so I think conditions are just way more enjoyable when you don't have gusty wind blowing in your face. So yeah, that's what you need to know about the wind. Let's talk temperatures. So right now, now we're starting to see a little drop off there. Starting to see a little bit of some cold air come in. We're in the Keweenaw. It's 20 now over at Copper Harbor. Most of the morning, these numbers were in the upper 20s and low 30s. So it's still mild in Iron Mountain, relatively mild, you know. It is February after all. 32 there at this moment. Sault Ste. Marie is at 25. So it'll take a little bit for those numbers to gradually decrease, but they will. Okay, so for the highlights, again, it's the wind blowing around, blowing some snow around. and causing some visibility issues at times near Lake Superior. Again, I emphasize that this is not a widespread situation. It is for the areas that are prone to the lake effect snow and near Lake Superior. The weekend, it's just going to be fairly quiet. There's not a whole lot happening this weekend. And so that could be good. We do have a little light snow coming in Saturday night into Sunday morning. And as per usual, just plan on some 6 spots. But we're not really expecting a whole lot out of that. And then next week, we have a warming trend for about a few days, 3 days, Monday through about Wednesday. It looks like we have an unseasonably warm air mass that sets up right over us. So we are also looking at a couple of rounds of snow with that as well. A couple of disturbances will bring in some snow, and because, temperatures will be flirting with that freezing mark or above that, the consistency of the snow is going to be more of that wet consistency. Going to be heavier to shovel. So yeah. Okay, let's walk you through here this weekend and today. First off, temperatures today. Highs already happened, as I mentioned. By midday, by late morning, you'll notice the cold air. Okay, so we'll be down to the teens already by late morning and midday. Here's how it looks by mid-afternoon. A lot of single numbers and low teens along our shorelines, a little lingering lake effect snow. Saturday, not much for that wind, as I mentioned, but still below normal, as we'll still be in the teens. And then this weekend, I mentioned that we have a small little bout of snow that comes in Saturday night into Sunday. It doesn't look too impactful. As it kind of comes in and moves east, it starts to kind of taper off and wind down. So yeah, so Sunday morning, a little bit of fresh snow that you might have to brush off of your vehicle. And then we're back to the 20s for Sunday afternoon, and our normal is 22 degrees. But we do have that warm up coming, and so that will pose a little bit of an issue along our shorelines of the Great Lakes. Ice concentrations actually increasing in the last 24 hours along Lake Superior. So we're looking at a concentration percentage of 52 for Lake Superior. This gets updated every single day. So yeah, that's where we're at. 52% for ice concentration Lake Superior, 36 Lake Michigan, and Lake Huron's at 74. Now, because of that warming trend, we are expecting some unstable ice conditions to develop along the shorelines of the Great Lakes, and so that'll be a little bit of a problem next week. That'll be our big weather story next week, and things that we have to follow and be mindful of, especially for if you like to kind of walk the shoreline of Lake Superior as just an outdoor activity. It might be best to stay off of the ice there. So that warm-up's going to cause unstable ice to form, thawing, melting likely. Yeah, we also have a couple of disturbances coming in with that pattern change next week. And so with it being warmer, it's going to bring in a couple of rounds of some wet snow. So yeah, those are the big things that we are looking at. As far as long-term into next week after the warm-up, we'll get back down to the 20s. We're not looking at a big blast of cold air. That'll happen rather quickly. I think it looks like that colder air is going to come in for the UP200. Big event happening next Friday. So it looks like some colder air, relatively speaking, will swing through for the end of next week. This time next week going into Valentine's Day and into next weekend. So yeah, the majority of the week will be in the 20s for the range, mid and upper 20s on Thursday, and Monday through Wednesday is when that freezing mark will be essentially above normal, right? Into the 30s. We'll be around that freezing mark. So yeah, well, that does it. Those are the highlights. I hope you guys have a really great weekend. Hopefully you have some great stuff planned for the weekend. You're excited about something. You're doing something with your family. Maybe watching the Olympics. Big thing that's kicking off today. So yeah, watch some Winter Olympics and maybe watching the Super Bowl. If you are, if any of that's in your, weekend future for you, have a really great weekend. Enjoy that. In the meantime, please drive safe out there today. If you're going to the rail jam this evening, make sure you're bundling up because we'll still have that wind. And that wind will still cause a little bit of a bite outside. Okay, well, that does it.